Now, I remember looking out of this plane window, and we were flying somewhere over Eastern Europe. And as far as you could see, you know, sprawled across this black canvas, there were these clusters of light. Some were huge, and some were just out there by themselves. You know, and each cluster of light represented, you know, a town or a village or a city or a place, you know. Every cluster of light represented people, and I couldn't help but think, looking at it, that is God's picture for the church. That wherever there's people, that wherever we find ourselves, you know, in every town, in every village, in every city, that we would be His light.
Well, the church is the body of Christ. If Jesus was here in His physical body, what would He do? He would go out and meet the needs of people. When the people were hungry, He fed them. When people needed help, He met their needs.
I think at the core of everything the church does should be love, and that should look really practical, not just pray, not just talk about it in church, but actually go out and make a difference.
We have to see that the church doesn't exist to meet our needs, but rather we exist as the church to meet the needs of others.
It's important that the DNA of the church is changing from being inward-focused to outward-focused.
I want to see us not doing church, but being the church.
I just love to see the church not being afraid to tackle pretty hard issues. You know, community problems, social problems, racial problems, but not coming from a standpoint of kind of criticism or condemnation, more from a standpoint of, hey, like, we're the church of Christ, like, this is where we need to be. You know, we need to be right in this.
We think that all the authority, all the preaching must come from the pulpit. It's not true. It comes from the life of those who follow Jesus.
It's not about how we lift our hands or how we jump up and down singing our songs in church, but how can we, as a channel of God's love, God's passion for His people, how can we just channel that into love?
Love acts, and you can't talk about love. You have to show love.
The church is not built of bricks and mortar. It's not the stained glass window, and it's not the towering steeple bearing the cross. It's not the age-old chapel, and it's not the shiny new sanctuary. The church is not an organisation, it's not a denomination. It was never designed to be a moral police force or a political persuasion, nor a social club for Christians. But the church is the people. You know, a people broken but for the grace of God. A people lost but for the love of Christ. You know, transcending the expanses of earth and the vastness of culture, from town to town and city to city, in every island and in every nation, in homes and in school halls and in theatres, you know, meeting in cafes and meeting in cathedrals, on street corners and in stadiums, meeting underground and meeting under open skies. The body of Christ being mobilised for such a time as this, rising up with selfless faith, breaking down the four walls, beginning to see what He sees, and beginning to be what He's called us to be. We don't just attend church anymore.
We are the church.